This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
My guest has officially arrived. I know you guys are pumped. And by the way, she is not a she. I've been trying to throw my partners off for the last 2 weeks.
I know this person.
Yeah, she is not a she. It's a he. So my guest was also, he has been on the podcast before. He was actually the 88th guest. 88th episode. Somehow, some way, it's 5 days to the end of the year. I can't believe it. I mean, it's been, okay, this is a very, hey, an optimist walks into the room, but when you have optimism as your number one core value, you say things like, I'm actually really looking forward to next year. I've had a pinch me year. It has been a total pinch me year, and I am grateful and blessed. And as you think about your year, my hope is that, all right, maybe what's your gold medal moment? What's your silver medal moment? What's your bronze medal moment? Like, call them out, think about them. For me, one of the best parts of the job is that it's not like a solo courage show, and I wouldn't want it to be that way. I know you often hear just my voice on the podcast with the guests, but like when it comes to the work, it's not just me. I've got partners, and if you had a chance to listen to the end of year show last year, you'll know that we did a little something special, and I brought on my partners Billy Collins and Nicole Miller, and we each brought on a secret guest, and we kind of love that format. This is now like the third end of year episode, by the way, and first time we decided that Nicole Miller, who runs our action team, we'd kind of switch roles, and she would be in the hot seat. I would be in the hot seat. She'd ask the questions. And then last year, it was the three of us kind of jamming together. And I think it was the right way to talk about end of year. So here we are. We're at episode 195. For those of you who've been around with me for a while, thank you. I mean, it's awesome. I'm grateful. I've always described the podcast like, it's like taking people you want out to dinner and they can't leave the table. And then you have this amazing meal for your mind. And then there's no bill really at the end. It's like, what else could you ask for? Right. And you don't feel like you had too many carbs and all the things. And as I think about the podcast for this past year, it really has been a pinch me moment. We've had Avery Johnson on the show. For those of you who remember, he was on the Spurs. He's coached. We've had Reed Timmer, who was a tornado chaser. He was one of my first interviews also for the book. Kid President, the guy who made that, Brad Montague. Brad would never say it like that, but he's been on the show. Janelle Farias, who played for the Mexico national soccer team. And she's just like an influencer. She's all about women's rights and unapologetic. A couple weeks ago, I had Seth Godin, which is like, I can take a time machine, ride back to myself when I was skinny and had hair and was just getting into the business, and I would consume Seth's, like, The Purple Cow. If you haven't read this book, it still holds. And so just to have some of these amazing guests, Artis Stevens, who's the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters, Vern Harnish wrote the book Scaling Up. Honestly, I really can't believe that so many people have given us an hour of their lives. A lot of people know I'm big soccer dork. We've had presidents of MLS teams, Tom Braun, congratulations. The LA Galaxy, they just won it all. He was on the show at the beginning of his season. Danita Johnson on the other coast from DC United, Jared Dillon from both Orlando clubs. So it's just been an awesome ride. And I'm super pumped to bring on the show today my partners from the Knowledge team, Mr. Billy Collins. Billy, good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, Ryan. How you doing?
Well, let's talk about Duke basketball for a second. Again, what's the record? What are we feeling about them? Are they looking good?
I think the biggest challenge for Duke is going to be that the ACC is really down. They've beaten some good teams. They've lost to some good teams. So they'll be in the mix. And they've got this kid, Cooper Flagg, who is off the charts talented. Fun to watch because he's a great passer, does all the little things in addition to being someone who can just stuff the stat sheet for everything. So, and it's also been especially fun for me this year because my middle son, who is about to turn 12, is all in for basketball. He loves it now, and so seeing him, watching games with him is pretty darn awesome.
I'm curious, before we bring on our other guest slash partner, um, if you were going to sum up the year we had at Courageous, is there like a moment, that just sticks up?
Yeah, it's interesting. I would say there are probably two moments. One was a meeting we had with a client, and at the end of the meeting, he said to us, I've never talked this much about my business before. We spent 3 hours with him discussing everything from creative, from challenges that they're facing, culture, their portfolio of brands, some of their different brands, and to be able to have that seat where you sit next to a senior executive and talk to them about their business and they want to ping pong it back and forth and you're really helping them think through things, that's when I knew or continued to know, hey, we're onto something where this can really help people, right? Because it's hard to do that when you're in the day to day, when you're stuck in everything. It's hard to know that you need to step back and have another perspective. I'd say
Hold on,
other moment.
hold on. Before you go on to number two, like, let me like that is the most knowledge team dorky response I've ever heard in my
Well,
whole
I was
life.
going to balance it with the other one. Come on.
That's not a
oh,
dorky response because I actually was thinking the same thing, Billy. So
okay,
just so
great.
you know.
Nicole and I agree. Nicole and I agree. This never happens, people. Just so you know, Nicole and I are always on opposite sides. No, that is sarcasm. Nicole and I often agree on things.
Look, let me way to just jump in before me even announcing my other
I couldn't
partner.
help it. You already seated, so people knew I was here,
Okay, well, look, first, let me be clear for the people that are in their car and listening to this. Like, this is a non-selly thing today. We're not trying to sell. We're just talking about highlights. Okay, so I want to make sure let's keep this kosher, Collins. Okay.
That was a highlight. That was a highlight I think a highlight for me. And then the other highlight would have been recently at our holiday party where we were all together breaking bread. Ryan did an excellent job with the company awards. We'll spare you the inside jokes of those, but they were pretty awesome. Ryan
No, no, no,
crushed.
no, no, no. Come on, they're called the Roar Awards. The Roar Awards. We all have ours now on our table.
Yes, let's go. Let's
All right,
go.
so we have the shit, which is a toilet.
A golden toilet, which my kids were like, why did you get the Skibbity Toilet Award? Is what they said, which was awesome.
And by the way, the reason that you got it is because you're the shit, Billy. And I love that you're on this journey with us. And second, by the way, who does an award show and then gives himself an award? 2 thumbs, baby. This guy. I'm holding a microphone. Yes. It was called the mouth. The mouth. I got the mouth.
Yeah, he was the only one with an acceptance speech. He went on and on for a while about how great it was, what an honor it was.
I'm so surprised.
Oh my God, I had nothing prepared for this. I can't believe I won. I want to thank the Academy. You guys, this is amazing. Okay, and now let me bring in our third partner who won
the GOAT.
Dun, 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 dun. She won the GOAT award. Our fearless action team lead, Nicole Miller.
So fun.
Happy birthday so happy birthday.
Thank you.
Are you one of those where you jam it all in at 24 hours? Or are you like, nope, I'm packing it in. We get the whole week. And that's the way it's going to roll here.
I would probably say a day. I mean, I'm a big fan of birthdays though. Like even when I went to bed before, like I feel like I'm still 11 at heart. Like I go to bed, I'm like, oh, tomorrow when I wake up, it's going to be my birthday.
Yes,
like
that's how you
so
should
fun.
feel.
It's so fun. I love it. I had a great day yesterday. It was amazing. I'm still riding the high off of all of the love from yesterday. So that feels great.
Awesome.
Can I tell you that I have a spiel about birthdays? I know this is very surprising to hear that I have
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, let's go.
So first of all, it brings me a ton of joy that you feel that way when it's your birthday. And that's how I feel too. And I kind of feel like And by the way, if you're listening, and keep me honest on if this lands for you, like literally email me, Ryan Berman at couragebrands.com. Seriously, email me if you feel this way too, or don't feel this way. Like, I think I've always liked triggers on the calendar. Like, so I like birthdays. I like that in 5 days is a New Year's, you get a chance to get your mind resolution, your body resolution, and your spirit resolution. And if you've followed us along, that's not new language. But I actually think how you feel when your birthday shows up, it's bigger than just you're excited about your birthday. Like, I've been very fortunate to, like, life hasn't always been easy, right? We're in the brave what's hard business, but I love, when my birthday comes around, if you are happy, usually I believe that you have some expectation of where you thought you would be in your life, and you have met that expectation bar, or you've exceeded that expectation bar. And I think, and then, maybe this is the hard part, but like, if you kind of like cringe at your birthday, then whatever expectation you had or thought you'd be, maybe you haven't reached where you thought it would be. And again, I'm an optimist. I know Nicole Miller probably wants to go off mute right now and tell me some other reason why she doesn't feel that way. But like, for me, I, I constantly am like grateful when my birthday rolls around. And one of the big reasons why this part of the show is brought to you by Hallmark. It's the Hallmark moment, is because we get to do work together. And the three of us, I would like, I've been in other partnerships that weren't as fun as this, and we take our work seriously, but we don't take ourselves that seriously. And so you guys are a big reason why when my birthday shows up, I am giddy. I am in a good mood. It's like I'm energized by the work that we do.
Yeah. I think I heard once that, when you're in school, you have many blocks, whether it's quarter or semester or a new year. All those things help you reassess. And I think you're right. The birthday, New Year's, there's a reason why people dread or love those occasions. And usually it's because of, hey, how did I feel I did, right? How did I feel I did this year? What do I see what hope do I have for the future? And, what do I want to do differently? So, yeah, I definitely would agree that milestone day can tell you a lot about where you are as you assess.
Nicole, we need to get to your fancy special guest here. We have secret guests. All three of us are bringing on secret guests. But before we do that, is there a highlight or a few of the year?
Oh man, I think mine, even as we're talking, I think, we are dispersed, right? So we, work remotely with our team. And for me, anytime we get a chance to get together in the same room, like I am reminded by how special it is that we get to work together, and how fun it is working together, and how fortunate we are to, get to do something and create something together. And it's really special. And I think sometimes when you're able to step back and look at it like that, it always brings me a lot of joy, and it's just so much fun working with you guys. And at the end of the day, I'm like, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then it's like, what are you doing really? So that's my highlight always.
Here.
That's a little tear coming down. Did you see it?
Oh, I do. I see
This,
it.
this is sponsored by Hallmark. This does
It
feel
is.
like, what the heck, people?
Yeah, we missed an opportunity.
The guy that's responsible for the feel side of the business. I'm feeling you. I feel it. Billy doesn't feel. He only thinks.
Yes, he's a robot.
He's a robot.
I'm the anti-scarecrow, right? I'm the reverse of the scarecrow, right?
Yeah.
All right. So this could get messy, but I like the messy, and we're gonna bounce around. And for those of you who haven't kind of figured out the deal here, we're gonna each bring on a secret guest. We have not shared our secret guest with anybody. Nicole Miller is going first, right?
Yes.
And all right, so the guest is in. They're not showing their camera yet. In the spirit of this, here's how this is going to roll, right? Whoever's guest is here, the person's going to introduce the guest, right? Have a little banter back and forth, and then the person who brings the guest on asks the first question, right? And then are we following? If action Since Nicole's, I think knowledge goes next, and then faith will go last, and then we'll just rotate through, and then the guest gets to ask us a question. Go for does that work for everybody?
Roger.
All right,
Perfect.
Nicole,
Do it.
the show is yours.
All right. I'm like doing jazz hands. All right. So my guest is someone you guys don't know. She is my very first mentor, my favorite mentor of all time. We used to work together in a past life. She is the wisest and smartest woman I know. She has more than 35 years of experience in senior agency and client-side roles. She now is providing senior level strategy, branding, and marketing counsel to clients, mostly in the healthcare space. You guys are going to love this one. She is a self-proclaimed curious dot connector.
I like it. Yes.
I knew it. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you guys my friend, Lila Wagner.
Yeah. Hi, Lila.
Hello, how are you? I don't know that I should have heard that intro. Nicole.
Why? It's fun to hear yourself.
Because now I'm afraid, which is perfect, I guess, for the Courageous podcast.
I feel like when you listen to a podcast and anytime the host does the intro for the guest always has that moment where they're like, oh, that feels weird. It feels weird to hear someone talk about you, especially like all of these like amazing things about yourself. You're like, oh, that's me. That is me.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's you. So like I told Nicole when she reached out, I'd do anything for Nicole.
Aw.
So it's delightful to be here. I hope you had a wonderful birthday yesterday.
I did very much.
Good.
Love
Good.
I'm so excited
It's
for
great to be
you
here.
guys to meet Lila. She's the best.
But by the
Hi,
way, we
guys.
feel the same way. Like we would also do anything for Nicole. And usually Nicole is like making us do other things too. But like that's okay. We're in.
it.
That's perfect. I love that. Nicole, I didn't do the math on how long ago we worked together, but you heard her say more than 35 years. You get to a point where you just say more than 35 years. Like we're just going to stop counting at this point because
Yeah.
it's just icing on the cake at this
It's a
point.
lot.
So it's all good. Yeah.
Just make sure that
Yeah,
wonderful vintage. That's what I like to say.
Very well seasoned.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. And I think
Yes.
that more people
doubt.
need to hear from people with experience. Like I genuinely believe that, especially women with experience. So that is the reason that I'm bringing Lila on.
Thank you, dear.
Welcome.
Well, you get the first question, Miller.
Ooh, I do.
Fire away.
Okay. I have a few in my head. I am going to ask you, what is one thing that you wish you would have done less of in this past year?
In this past year. Oh, probably worry.
About?
I think worrying, just, all the things, right? There's so much to worry about in the world, I think. We can start big and go small. There's so much happening in the world that is, especially as somebody who believes very strongly that I have agency, that I have the ability to influence my own life for sure, and hopefully other people's lives, it can sometimes feel a little precarious, and you don't quite know what to do with those feelings because it feels so big. But then even down to little things, and or not so little things, family, right? You worry about your adult kids. Sometimes you worry about your grandchildren and the world that they're living in, and little things like their illnesses or whatever comes up. But the one thing I've definitely learned over time is that worrying generally is a really bad use of energy. Thinking is good, pondering, researching sometimes can be helpful, but just worrying is not good for my energy and not good for people around me. It puts me in a bad headspace. So I wish I had done less of that. And I'm working on doing less of that as life goes on, as I get older.
I love that notion of reframing worry to a sense of research. And obviously I'm the knowledge guy. This is not a surprise to anyone else here, but that
you guys would get along.
That idea,
Billy, we got to know,
no,
right?
seriously, but like that idea of lost energy around trying to control something you can't control, which is really what worry is about, versus
Yeah.
here's something I see that isn't right, that needs to change. Okay, I'm not worrying about it. I'm considering, why does that bother me? Or what can I do about it? Or what do I need to counter that in my activities? I'm worried about something horrible happening to my kids. Well, you know what I can do? Send them a text or call them and say, hey, I love you. Okay, that's easy. And then, not that it gets rid of that worry or fear, but at least it gives you a reframing of that idea of how can I use my agency to overcome that. Very cool. I love that.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
the comment about the use of energy. Like, it is a bad use of energy, and like this energy could be so much better spent on other things. And so it's such a good good call out.
I just like it's like you're constantly auditing yourself, and there's awareness to that. I think sometimes when worry wins, you don't audit yourself, right? It's like, on good days you're a duck, right? Like on the surface, but realistically, like, I used to call it body jumping, like stepping outside of yourself and looking back at yourself, and you're kind of like, hey, am I over indexing on worrying? Why am I? This can't be healthy, right? I didn't know, Nicole. I wasn't sure if you were going to go just to this year, or so. Can I?
Yeah. In my life.
Yeah,
I
Lila,
added
yeah.
I added this year kind of at the end. So
Yeah, I'm curious, if she didn't add this year, like, would that have changed your answer?
Phrase the question again for me.
uh
What's something you wish you had done
less
less
of.
of?
Yes,
Done less
correct.
of in your life.
Yes.
I also wish I had worked less.
No, this is not good. We're gonna have to edit this part
Yeah,
out.
this is a bad answer. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Sorry,
Try
wrong.
again.
That answer is wrong. Incorrect. Buzzer.
Yeah.
So let me add.
No, no.
I love the
Worked
answer.
less.
Love the
Okay, we're
I didn't
kidding.
finish my sentence. Worked less on things
Mm,
that ultimately, and probably with a little bit of critical thinking, I would have realized didn't matter nearly as much as I somehow thought they did.
It's funny because it's somewhat related to that worrying thing, right? Like,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
It
related to
is.
sort of this sense of
It is.
like, oh, I've got to write that email now, or I've got to organize this thing, or I've got to. No,
Or I've got to make this really good thing spectacular, and nobody values it to be. They just really want it to be good, and it's okay. Like, good is okay. Like, I know we're not supposed to think that. We're supposed to set our standards so super high, but we end up expending just a lot of energy and giving up on other important things because we prioritize so often
Yeah.
work over life, especially when those things are not, we could talk a lot about the separation of work and life and whether there actually is separation or whether it's all one big thing. But the point is, there are work activities for sure, and life activities and people and prioritization that I think can get confused, because in that moment and at that time of your life, you think you're supposed to be doing certain things versus, and so back to your point, Ryan, I think for sure, as I get older, as I move through life, the self-awareness piece is just so increasingly important to me, is not just kind of navigating through life, or frankly not navigating, right? Being swept along, taking
Yep.
the winds or the water or whatever forces are pulling me, not just being oblivious to that, but recognizing, wait, I maybe have a sail I can put up, and I can, paddle, or I can, whatever Nicole knows I love analogies. I still love them, and I'm still not as good at them as I really want to
It
be.
makes
But
me
yeah.
think of, Lila, your at one time in my life, I had a friend of mine who I was meeting her group of friends who had never met me before. And she was telling me this, and she said, oh, I told them all about you. I told them that you were such a hard worker, and then blah, 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 blah. And she said all these other really lovely things about me after that. But all I could hang on to was the fact that she led with, I'm a really hard worker. And I thought, God, like when I'm at my funeral, I don't want people to be saying I worked really hard. Like I was an excellent employee. Not that that's what she was saying, but like, I'm like, no, like I want to be known for like, did I love people? Did I show up for people? Like, and that was the moment for me that really switched, that it's like, it's not that work doesn't matter, work matters, but it's like, there's a lot of things that matter. Like if you really step back, that like really, really matter. And so I love your answer.
I'm clearly, if I outlive you, I'm changing my speech right now. My funeral
Eulogy
speech.
changed.
Yeah, making a note.
Edit.
Hey Siri, that speech I
Note
wrote.
to self.
Yeah, good. Right. By the way, in the spirit of metaphors, it's funny. Someone always said to me, "You're even the kite, or you're flying the kite." Right? And it's like, how intentional are you with the choices that you make? And I don't know if I've shared this with Billy and Nicole. This is, and Lila, I wonder if this is where you were going. So so I had my first company, which was like chaos and fear, really like just survival mode, was called Fish Tank. And I remember people would come to our office and they'd be like, cool, like almost surprised we had an office, And then we had IDEA as a second, obviously idea. And I had adults as partners, and I always used to joke like Fish Tank. I would never call it an organization because we were never that organized. IDEA was organized, but the amount of times that we didn't do a good job on qualifying in the right lead. So sometimes and again, for whatever reason, it would just mess up the whole thing when you had the wrong lead, and then you're convincing somebody of something that they never asked for. And so I actually think for once with Courageous, it's like we're trying to design a life where we are working on stuff that energizes us. Like, guess who's not calling us when you're called Courageous? Like, guess who's like, there's no lead where we have to convince you. Like, if you were safe.co is not, safe.us is not calling us for help. Well, they probably should. Anyway.
I think the other thing that I heard from your answer is you're not saying you didn't want to work, right?
Oh,
Which we all are passionate.
I still love
and
it.
want to do it. And I think there's continuing on the metaphors. Someone once told me the idea of your time as a jar and you can fill it up with rocks or sand. And what you should do is focus on the rocks, the bigger things. And I think that's part of what you're saying is that, to your analogy, that there are work things and there are life things and they're both, and we are all really that jar, right? You want to fill that up with the meaningful rocks of life work.
Yep.
And it gets to the things that are big, that matter, that have impact, that have value to someone else, versus so often we do tasks and we do things at work and we spend extra time on grains of sand that aren't really adding value to ourselves, the world, our clients, whatever you want to talk about,
Yep. That's it. It's all about being of value. Is the word value is a big one, but anyway.
Billy, I don't think you've used your official question.
I don't think I have either, because I still have it in my head.
Go for it.
During the introduction, Nicole said you were a self-proclaimed dot connector. Is that right? Curious dot connector?
Curious dot connector. Yes.
Love
indeed.
that. Tell me why, how does that come up in your life? Where did you come up with that phrase? Tell me more about that way of looking at the world.
Yeah. So I've always been curious. Curious George was my very favorite book when I was a little kid. And I'm a strategist. That's my line of work. It's kind of who I am. It's how I think. And I think the value of strategy is about pattern spotting, right? It's about recognizing how things interact, how people maybe interact, how ideas connect. And so when I finally started my own business, which is just a year and a few months ago, I was doing that debate of like, okay, what am I going to call myself? I'm the founder and CEO. I'm the president. I'm the blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, yuck. No offense to anybody who calls themselves that, but it didn't feel right. And I was looking actually, Nicole, at my little description that I had written for myself. And I said, well, really, I'm the chief dot connector. And that's my title. So it is the value that I bring. And it is the way that I see the world. I've I don't know if you all are familiar with StrengthsFinder.
Yep.
Nicole knows it's a big,
Mhm.
I'm a big fan.
Mhm.
And when I look at my strengths, and when I think about the role that I can play in the world, not just from a business perspective, but from a friend perspective, from a mentoring perspective, from a coaching perspective, it's helping people to clarify kind of what are those important things and how do they connect, and who maybe can help them get where they want to be, or who, I love putting people together. I love putting ideas together, and I love um, helping to recognize kind of the options, right? The patterns, the pathways that come from stepping back and uh, just seeing how, you know, um, different aspects of a challenge, of a relationship, or whatever it is, how those all connect. So
I think
that's where that comes from.
the other thing that is cool about that sort of answer, or you viewing the world in that way, is the fact that we are all connected. We just sometimes don't realize that. And there is power in discovering how or why or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
That we
Yep.
are connected. And uh when to get onto the work side of things, why do people respond to creative ideas, to new products, to services? It's because they feel like you got them in some way, right? You got
100%.
connected it to me in some
100%.
way, that I now, oh, you get me at some level, you know? And so that is very cool to say,
Absolutely.
okay, that's sort of your mission, is to be that,
Yeah.
whether it is the, hey, you should know this person, or hey, people need to know this about you, your brand, your whatever. Very cool.
Exactly right.
I'm glad you moved that into the work comment, Billy, because this whole "we are all connected" is not very think. That's very feel. That's my space. Okay,
Stay in your lane. We're all about lane. Just stay,
all right.
move over there.
But the lanes are
The
connected,
lanes are
Billy. The lanes are
connected.
Barely
There we
touching,
go.
barely
Yes.
touching, barely
No.
touching.
Mm-mm.
No, they are catalysts for
Yes,
each
they
other, right?
merge. They merge
They
together.
merge,
If we do a better job of
or
zippering, it's more effective. That
but right. But think about racing, right? And think about drafting, right? You draft off each other. You can pull each other along. You can play off of each
Very
other.
surprised.
Different parts can lead at different times,
This
right?
I did
So,
not
yeah.
sense this metaphor coming from you. I did not sense the
I am not an athlete, but I am a
She's
mother of and
full of
Hello.
wife
surprises.
of an
Full of
athlete.
surprises.
I was just thinking, I did not see an F1 NASCAR metaphor coming from you. That's all I was saying. That's it.
Okay, I wasn't thinking of vehicles. I was thinking of the Peloton, and I was thinking of running.
Okay.
Right, like let somebody else do the blocking, like block the wind for a while, and then you take the lead.
Yes.
Anyway,
Do I get, can I, Billy, can
Yeah.
can I
that
jump
was
Nicole?
it. That was mine.
Okay.
Very good.
Great question, Billy.
This is not my question, but I need clarification before I jump into my question. So it's going to sound like a question.
you're reserving another. Yes, you're adding another question.
See what I'm doing there?
Brian.
See what I'm doing
Permitted.
there?
It's permitted.
Okay, thank you. Where's home?
Where's home? Home is where the heart is. I live in Northwest Ohio, which is where Nicole and I met when she lived here. I also spend a lot of time up in northern Michigan, where it's my happy place. That's where we hang out. Up, yeah.
Right there.
Way up.
The
About
Ute?
about
What's it called?
half hour. No, in the Lower Peninsula, but about a half an hour from the Mackinac Bridge. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So for those of listening,
way up
if
north.
you're listening, that whole Michigan hand thing just happened.
Oh, sorry, the
camera.
Michigan hand
The
thing
mitten.
happened. Yes.
Hashtag
Yes.
Michigan hand.
Yes.
Hashtag Michigan hand. Yes, but that's I'm a Midwesterner.
It's interesting that Billy, where you went on your question, because I also took something from the open that I thought was like super fascinating. And then Lila, you also brought it up, which was mentorship, right? And the need for mentorship. And I think I think we all believe it can be really lonely being a leader, and maybe it's just lonely for a lot of people, right? And like you're afraid to ask a question in a room full of people, or you just feel on an island. And like I don't I don't feel like I had a mentor for the first 15 years, like I was just trying to survive New York City. It wasn't until I got out here in San Diego and that I was like, I would say, so Steve Wilhite, who worked for Apple, someone introduced me to him and he became like, I was like, oh yes, like this guy has like everything I believe in, like swagger and, be unapologetic like that. I was like, the mentor, right? But
Yeah.
so here's the thing. Who was your mentor? Did you have a mentor that you turned like
Mm.
on your journey?
You know, I mean, probably I have a series of mentors, I would say. For sure, personally, my mother was my mentor from how to be in the world and how to live and how to be true to yourself and how to advocate and um, be an activist. I don't necessarily do it, but I looked up to it and I learned tremendously from the way that she moved in the world. Work-wise, my first mentor was a woman who I think taught me just a tremendous amount about how to be of value to your client. And I think that that's the most fundamental thing that I've carried with me throughout my career, is recognizing that building that trusting relationship and providing true value as opposed to just filling the request or whatever it is. She really modeled that for me and she trusted me a lot. I'm going to bring this up that, of course, when Nicole called or reached out and asked about this, of course I started researching the word courage because that's the way I approach these things. And one of the things that fascinated me, because I really think of the first thing I thought of when I heard the word courage is my parents grew up speaking French in the house a lot to each other, and so bon courage, right? And the idea of take courage, right? Like that courage is something that is both given and received, that is shared, and and the idea of taking heart, right? Take heart, take courage, right? And I really think of the role that I play is to give others courage, like that, to encourage.
Love that.
Right. That to me is what I just love about this stage in my life, and the ability to devote time in my schedule to mentoring is that I can encourage those that I work with, to give them that, right? To give them that confidence and give them that belief in themselves. So that's what I took from my mentor. I took your question in another path.
No, I
Sorry
love
about
it.
that.
And just know that you gave that to me. I think that's such a really good thing to say, is like the confidence you give somebody, right? Is like such a key thing, especially when you're first starting out, when you really know what's what, it was a huge foundation builder for me that I still carry with me today. So know that you did do that.
Nicole, what's
That's
interesting
a big reward.
What's interesting about you making that comment is I've been thinking a lot about this, like call back to work and people working less virtually and things like that. And it's clear on one level, the people that need it the most are the people that are starting, because they may not have that exposure that you had when you started, right? To have someone who's a mentor. And that's why, whereas those of us who are more experienced may not need that same, we all need mentors to some degree, but we don't need that same footing to when we're starting off on knowing what we need to do. But as we're having this conversation, where it's taking me is, as you're a mentor, that actually adds a lot of value to yourself, right? As you are giving someone else that
So
encouragement,
much.
right? It feels so good. And I could see, Layla, on your face when Nicole said that, how touched you were by that, but also like, yeah, you should feel really good because you had that impact. And that's part of why don't have to worry so much anymore, because, hey, these are the things this is the rock I should be working on in the thing, right? So it's very,
Look at you connecting the dots, Billy.
I knew we would get along. Nicole said we would get along. So there we go. So
I'm curious, I mean, Nicole, you made a comment at the top. It's like, especially women need mentors. Like I think we all, I'm not saying that's exactly what you said. I think you were given some love where it was well deserved. But like I think about little Ryan Berman that walked the hallways and like the ways that the way that I learned was like, oh, like don't do that. Or like I'd watch, you like the list of don't do that's outweighed the list of I need to stay close to this person, right? It was like 10% of the people I met, I was like, I need to stay close to this person. I'm going to study this person. But I don't even think I wouldn't even, I didn't have the skills or think that I could ask for permission to go and say, will you be my mentor? And to be fair, the James Chung, he's is a creative back in New York. I still loved it. He was probably as close as I got. I never declared it back then. Now I'm like, thank you. But in the spirit of courage and in the spirit of encouraging courage, if there's like a little Ryan Berman or Nicole Miller right now that are walking around, or Billy Collins, by the way, I don't want Billy to feel left out.
I was going to say, we need less of that. We need more Nicole Millers, more Ryan Bermans. Okay.
No.
Right.
Not
so
true.
We need
there-
all of
Yes.
us.
there's a bunch of 20 somethings that maybe they think they're on this journey by themselves. Like, what advice would you give them to have the courage to say, hey, can we go get coffee? Can I ask you a few questions? Like, or declare a mentor? Like, what's your advice on how to help us do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me because my experience actually, Ryan, has been in this past year since I started my business, I've had 5 people reach out to me and say, "Would you be my mentor? Can we talk on a regular basis?" Part of it is that I think organizations, whether that be companies, it's even in a small company, you can still kind of encourage this, but big companies for sure, but also associations, to really make that. I don't think it has to be a super structured program, but to invite people to do that. I actually found young people who I'm like, oh yeah, they reach out, they have it, but there's also like these programs at the annual conference, for example, for SHSMD, which is the Society for Healthcare Strategy and Market Development. I'm an official, signed up mentor with that organization, and we scheduled, little check-ins for people, and they were all kind of early career folks who were like, my first conference, I saw that there was this opportunity to seek out a mentor. Let's chat. But I do think, I think there are structural things that we could do to support that more. Talking, at the university level, thinking about fraternities and sororities, and like making those connections, alumni association type of things. Like, I just think there's all these systems in place that exist, but they aren't necessarily performing that function, and they could be in a much more proactive way. I think it's hard to put the burden on the kids, right? Like, they don't necessarily know that they need or want a mentor, or what the value would be for them to seek one out. I think the ambitious ones, the ones who, naturally sort of have that inclination, are the ones who are seeking it out. But for everybody else, I think it's the onus is sometimes on us to say, hey, you could benefit maybe from a mentor, or, here's a couple of ideas for you to seek out that sort of support. I don't know the answer, but
I think part of this gets
some ideas.
The truism of the world now that we're so connected but not connected. And, right, we're so connected with social media on LinkedIn and blah, 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 right? What if LinkedIn figured out a way to be like, no, this is not getting a job. This is not about networking to get a business. This person, you should mentor this person. Go for it. You know what I mean? Like there are, like you said, there are probably constructs that are out there. However, we don't know how to, enact.
So
because of the fact that both sides need those relationships and benefit from those relationships. And it's part of what our whole, where you think about where you can be an agent, right? Like, okay, how do you do that in a way that has an impact on others?
Yeah. Invite them, right?
Mhm.
We used to have a saying, I don't know, Nicole, if you remember this, but it was like, show people what good looks like. Like, how would we expect people?
Mhm.
Sometimes we get disappointed when people don't perform the way that we know that they're capable of.
Right.
They have so much potential, whatever it is, right? But how sometimes it's also like, how would they know? Like, let's show them what good looks like.
Mhm.
Let's give them those step ups, those ways of um, improving.
Yep.
I don't think it's like, I this is going to really sound weird, but one of the things I've been learning a lot about is, I don't know if any of you have little kids or know people who have little kids, but so
Oh
I don't know
yes.
if you know Dr. Becky Kennedy. Dr. Becky
Oh, I
Kennedy
love Dr. Becky.
of,
I don't even
of
have
Good
children,
Inside.
and I love Dr. Becky.
I love Dr. Becky has helped me to reparent myself.
Mm.
Thank you very much. But
Just listen
this
to
idea,
her podcast about the
just
anxious generation
yeah,
conversation.
She's
yes,
good.
yes, 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 yes.
So
But she has this analogy, which I'm like, oh my God, this is so true. And I did this. I put my kids in timeout all the time. She goes, putting your kids in timeout is like a basketball coach saying, you do not know how to do a layup. So go sit on the bench and think about it for a while.
Mhm.
You would say, that's a terrible coach. Like, show me what good looks like. How am I supposed to learn it? But what do? We put them in time. Like, you think about what you're like, how is that helpful?
It's
But
not.
I think we don't necessarily punish the younger generation at work, but we leave them alone to figure these things out sometimes when we need to be more engaged. Anyway.
Absolutely. All right, it's back on you now, Lila. So you get to do rapid fire, one question that each of us will answer.
It's one question,
One question.
right? You each
Yes.
Okay. I am curious about your perspective. You work in courage all the time. I am curious if you, and I'm sorry if you've answered this on previous podcasts. I did not get a chance
You
to
have
listen to all
not
of them. I
listened to
a few.
all 194?
I have listened to 4, and they were great.
Okay.
They were great. But I wonder if you feel that if somebody is not afraid, then are they being courageous when they do? Like, if they don't have fear, is fear a prerequisite for courage to be demonstrated?
You or me, Billy?
You go first, Ryan.
Yeah,
You've answered this question before.
No,
You've
but
pondered it, I'm
no,
sure.
but you're spot on, right? It's probably not courage if there isn't fear. Not what a surprise. The writer has lots of quippy bending of words, and like I've never been a fan of the word fearless. I'm more like fear more, actually.
Mm.
Right? Like bring the fear to the surface, honor it. We had Seth Godin on a couple weeks ago. He's like,
I heard that one.
so that's that's a great example. And I was trying to make a joke about fear shrinkage, right? Because I lived in New York and Seinfeld, the shrinkage episode. And he's like, actually, I think,
I heard it.
yeah, he's like, balloon it and it's make it bigger and give it, gratitude, I think is the words he used. And so I agree with that. I think and also, by the way, that intentionality we talked about, any time in my life where I was working on something really scary for me and I actually made it public, it got easier. I had more guidance and more help, right? Even I'm thinking about the book writing process. Like, how do you do that? I'm terrified someone's going to think it's stupid or someone's going to take my idea. And the minute that I put it in a public forum, it got so much better. And I had champions. And by the way, people that weren't like what? I never heard from them. The people that were like, this is awesome. You need to talk to this person. So it started to like actually develop my community. So to me,
I love that.
yeah, it's probably not courage without fear.
I also think that people who say or think that they don't have fears probably aren't looking hard enough, or they don't recognize it as fear. And usually if there is something, it's not even, it's like, what's the layer deeper? It's like, it's not maybe what the surface level thing you think you fear. It's like, what is it really about? A lot of times we use the public speaking example. It's like, okay, I don't like public speaking, but it's like, no, you're not really afraid of public speaking, but like, are you afraid of like messing up? Are you afraid of what people might think of you? Is it, so it's always like the what's underneath the fear that I think sometimes people just
Love
like
that.
don't, talking about self-awareness that we talked about at the beginning. I think some people just maybe don't have the self-awareness to even recognize that there is a fear there.
I love that.
Awesome. I say ditto. I say it's part of the maturing
Ditto.
process.
Ditto, ditto.
Ditto, ditto.
It's required.
Part of the maturing process. Kids feel like they have to be fearless. And as you mature, you realize, no, I have to know what my fears are and how do I go back to what I know, what I can do
Exactly.
to overcome them.
Well, I gotta say, Nicole,
Love that.
way to kick us off. This is solid.
Nailed it. Lila,
This
you
was
nailed
solid.
it.
Lila's so good.
This was super
Yeah.
fun.
I can I declare you as a mentor also? I know you don't have any space for me. You've got like 5 people you already.
I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. This is the beauty. Sure. Absolutely. Let's talk, Ryan.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming on the
you
show. Nicole Miller, awesome
Thank
work.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lila. I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
being here.
It was a delight.
Yes.
Bye,
All
Lila.
right. Take care.
Great to meet you.
Mwah, mwah.
Thanks. Happy holidays
Thank
to
you.
everybody.
Happy holidays. That was
Bye.
an awesome way to roll. So
Bye.
good. So good. Feels good. It makes so much sense that this woman helped craft. Oh shoot, I forgot my end joke. I was gonna be like, thank you so much. Thank you for giving us, for helping get Nicole. She's such a hard worker. That's what I was gonna say. I blew it.
Your mentorship made Nicole to such a hard worker.
Oh no, you should have. Well, hey, you got it in now, right? You
Yeah.
got in the joke now.
Yeah, I
That's
got it
good.
in now. All right.
Yeah.
I guess I think I'm up, yes?
Yes.
So
It's all you.
all right, so let me set this
That was
up.
fun for me. That was a fun
She's great. Nicole.
brain. Yeah, she's really
Yeah,
great.
she's it's like chicken soup. That's
Yeah.
it was awesome. It
I
was
feel
so
like it's
good.
always fun to like bring, introduce people in like your present life to people in like different parts of your life. I think it like shines a light on people. It's like when you meet someone's family, you just you see another layer of them, I think.
And I think for her specifically, it's interesting. She said she wished she would worry less, because what struck me about her was that she was honestly like a sort of calming influence just by her presence, like her energy, very measured and very like not anything. Hey, we're gonna figure it out. Like it just felt like if I had a problem with her, we'd figure it out. Which
Yep.
is all.
Always.
Yeah, she was. Again, you just want to spend. You kind of lose time. You forget the clock is there. You just can I felt like we were on like a rocking chair, and you could just ask her anything. All right, so my guest has officially arrived. I know you guys are pumped, and by the way, she is not a she. I've been trying to throw my partners off for the last 2 weeks.
I was like, I know this person.
Yeah, she is not a she. It's a he. So my guest was also he has been on the podcast before. He was actually the 88th guest. He was on the 88th episode, and he is also a podcaster. In fact, he has, as of this month, the #1 podcast in soccer, unfiltered soccer. He is also the all-time U.S. goal scorer. He holds the record with 57 goals and all-time assist leader. And I tried to think, I was wondering, people can't see. I it was always right there on my chest, guys. I'm wearing the U.S. men's national team jacket. We're joined today by the one, the only Landon Donovan.
Woo, woo, woo.
Oh,
Hi, guys.
cool.
It's so fun.
Very cool. Awesome.
I actually thought when you joined, I thought you had your guests throw us off by changing their name to Landon. And I was like, oh,
That's
that's
a Ryan
tricky.
move. That would have been a Ryan move.
I usually pick a name that's appropriate for whatever I'm doing. So, but I failed this time.
That's actually my first question is, when you used to check into hotels, did you use a different name? What name did you use?
I always use Tim because Tim's my middle name is Timothy.
Mhm.
But a lot of times I'll use it, or it'll be on things that around people I know, and I'll come onto a Zoom, for example, and they say, "Who the hell is Timothy?" So I have to explain it constantly, but it works out.
I feel that way when people call me William. I'm like, who the heck is William?
Yeah,
Like, what for Bill? Like, I'm not. What the heck?
So, hey, are you loving this
What's up,
new
bud?
this new podcast world that you're in? Is it what you thought it would be for you?
Those are two different questions. I'm loving it. I was not expecting it, honestly, to be this successful this fast. What we realized quickly is that, one, there are a lot of podcasts, right? But two, in your particular arena, you realize quickly whether people are satisfied or not with what they're getting. And for whatever reason, either people are more unfiltered but have no idea what they're talking about, or they know what they're talking about, but they're not willing to be honest. And so I do it with Tim Howard, who is a former goalkeeper for the US national team, the best ever. And we're at a place in our lives and our careers where we're not going to destroy someone, but if there's something honest to be said, we'll say it. And we're also willing to give people the behind the scenes. And people have really, really attached to that, and it's resonated really well.
Yeah, funny enough, Tim uses Landon when he checks into hotels. He's Landon Howard. I didn't know if you. I asked him that before.
That's good.
It sounds like. By the way, I've listened to the show. You guys are good. I mean, I'm a little worried about. You kind of knocked us off. We were number one, and then
You were
now
number
we're not.
one in the soccer.
World.
Okay, we were number one. Maybe we'll go to Unfiltered Courage, though. I kind of like that.
There you
Ooh,
go.
I think we're on to something.
That's good.
I will say we do always say that the amount of times we've said, like, you can't have a company called Courageous and then not keep it real, right? And be like, the amount of times we've said to a client, we've got to keep it real, and that is actually
I've seen you, Ryan. I've seen you obviously in person, and it's all about being real. And what you realize is people want that, respect that. It's hard in our world today. I see it with kids and parents, especially in a affluent area where we live. People have trouble just being honest with their kids or telling them something that makes it uncomfortable for a few minutes. And it's the same in every industry. And what you do well is you go in and you just look at it unemotionally. These are the facts. He's a bad person in that role. She doesn't fit that role. And you just tell them. And eventually the people decide to take it or not. And when they do, they're successful. So hopefully people learn.
Well, I'm glad you get a chance to meet the people that actually do the work. I'm just the mouthpiece, Landon. You know me.
You're the pretty face.
I'm just the.
Aw.
Okay.
These guys have a competition about who's better looking. I mean, it's ongoing.
And this is my question to you: is like, how much younger do you think I am than Ryan?
That is a great question.
You have to answer it. You have to be honest and answer it.
I actually don't know how old Ryan is. I'm going to say Ryan's early 40s, my age. Oh, we know that, don't we? 42, 43. I'm going to say you're in your late 30s. Really.
Landon, you're the best. I mean, you're not just the number one podcast for a reason. Ryan and I met at summer camp when he's a year older than I was, 7 and 8. So we are actually the exact same vintage. So, but I appreciate your understanding of that. I look remarkably younger than Ryan.
Agreed.
You were doing so good at the beginning when you're like early 40s, and then you had to blow it with Billy's in his 30s. Now, all right, Billy, I'm sure you have a real question for Landon. What's your real?
Yeah, I wasn't sure where I was going to go with this, but when you brought up sort of youth, parents, coaching, et cetera, and I know you obviously had success at a very young age, right? And were brought on the scene very early. So it's sort of a two-parter question. What did you feel when you were sort of pushed to that level early on in your age? What was hard about that and what was good about that? And then on the flip side, you talked a little bit about, I have 3 kids, they're involved in all kinds of stuff. Talk to me a little more about this honesty component around what you've seen work in high level competition with helping kids who have potential, right? But maybe also need to be told the reality of things. So sort of 2 parts. What was for you in the journey, and what advice would you have for people who are looking to achieve, I guess?
So the first thing I'll say is what I didn't know was most powerful with people until I made some comments about it publicly and now started the podcast is youth soccer, but more importantly, people's children, which is not a surprise. It just never occurred to me. So everybody wants to know. Sorry, not everyone wants to know. People are very curious to know why in their particular world, they see soccer, youth soccer, the way they see it every weekend, with parents yelling, refs yelling, kids doing this, too much pressure, too much specializing, all these things. And it's what people care about because it's relevant to them. And I'm a parent now, and it's what's relevant to me. So I'll give you a story first. So my son played 2 years ago on a soccer team here locally. I am, as Ryan knows, the anti-pushing parent. Like, I go too far the other way, where my wife's like, can you at least just go kick a ball with them outside? And I'm like, I don't want to push them. I don't want to. She's like, just go play with them. It's not a big deal. So anyway, so my son was playing for a local team here. He was either the worst kid on the team or the second worst kid on the team. It was a very good surf soccer club's a very good soccer club, and they had a really good team. So they split most of the playing time. Towards the end of the year, he was the only kid on the team who hadn't scored a goal. And he was playing as an attacking player the whole time. And I could see it start wearing on him. And as an adult, you know, there's other things they do that help the team, et cetera, but it doesn't register with a kid. So at the end of the year, there were 2 games where they were up like 7-0 in both games, and they got a penalty kick. And my son was on the field, and I'm thinking, perfect.
Yeah.
Give him the penalty kick. It's perfect, right? Sure enough, the best player on the team the coach tells the best player on the team to step up and take it both times. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing? And from the outside, you say, okay, it's your kid and it's because you care. And I'm like, I don't care if that was someone else's kid. Like, let him. So I coach flag football.
To go up 8-0 versus
Totally.
giving one
Well,
the opportunity.
even if it was to win the championship at 7 years old, who cares, right? Like,
Mhm.
so I coach flag football for my kids, and we play, and I don't know anything about football or flag football, but we've played some teams where it's like, we know it's going to be 48-0. And my only goal is to make sure every kid scores a touchdown, or try to make sure every kid scores. And that personal anecdote has it just makes me realize how messed up this whole space is. So sorry, to get back to your question, I'm tangential here.
Good.
For me, it was easy because I had no pressure. Nobody was pushing me. My mom didn't care if I played soccer or read a book, or I could just do whatever I want. So I just played as much as I could. I was good at it because I started at that time way before anybody else did. At 2-3 years old, I was kicking a ball. And it was just way easier. Now the challenges are, I always think things in life go like spectrum to spectrum, like one end of the spectrum to the other. So if you think about, I'll just use politics right now. So the crazy,
oh boy,
but the crazy woke left goes crazy left. So then the crazy right goes crazy right, and people just feel like they have to go from one end of the spectrum. You see it in coaching all the time. If you have a authoritarian coach,
you go to a
doesn't do well, you go to the players coach, right? Instead of finding somewhere in between, right? So what we've done now is we've gone, we're starting to get good at soccer. We need to train these kids 5 days a week in design training sessions, right? Versus, okay, maybe a few times a week, but can they just go play the rest of the time? Right. So there's a lot to unpack in this space. I don't know if I directly answered the question, but I'm trying to navigate that as well and see how I can be impactful. And eventually on the podcast, to tie it back, we're going to do a deep dive into all of this because I know people are listening, and we have seen it. Me and Tim have seen it every step of the way. Yeah. Youth soccer, AYSO, club soccer, college soccer, high school soccer, Olympic development program, youth national teams, playing in England, playing in MLS, playing in Mexico. So we've seen it all, and we'll talk about it at some point.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of the conversation we had with Lila, our other guest, right before you, Landon, when we were talking about control and worrying and this illusion of control. For me, part of it is I think parents believe that they can control it. I'm going to make my son the best soccer player in the world, as though they can control it. It's you really can't, and you have zero control. So it's there could be a whole conversation around that, but that's where my head went to as you were talking.
I actually think, Nicole, you nailed it. It's you see it on the sidelines. People have so much trouble just letting something be when they can't go control it and do it. And I watch parents constantly. I sit at the end of the bench, not at the end of the bench, at the end of the field. I have earpods in. I listen to meditation music, and I just watch my kids play. And it's so glorious. I love it.
Hood,
I'll sit.
hood up or hood
Hood
down?
up, hood up, glasses
Of
on.
course.
And
But
all
I'll
the
sit.
other parents on my kids' teams call me the creeper. They're like, "What are you doing so far away in the woods?" I'm
That's
like,
right.
"I don't need to be there.
I don't
need
want to
to
deal with
I
that
don't
crap.
need to joystick and control the kid.
Exactly
I
right.
sit back and let them have their experience and their journey of
Well
it all.
said.
Right?
And I'll
it's
watch.
adults who screw up so much of these things instead of
That's
these
right.
kids that just want to go play.
That's right.
Right?
Touche. Yeah, you watch the parents sit there so anxiously, either saying something or trying not to say it, and it's a disaster. And
Yeah, it's
we'll
like
get to
why?
it.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be enjoyable.
I'm a baseball guy, right? I'm a baseball guy, and there's more pace, like more space in baseball where people can respond. And it's always like,
Right,
why
right.
are you cheering when another pitcher walked a kid? Like, no, he's 10.
Totally.
Like, let the kid take the base, like move on with the game or whatever, right? So
Well
the
said.
the being able to sit back and watch them enjoy it is what I think kid sports needs, right? So they
Perfectly said.
you know. So
All right, Miller. So, Blandon, I don't think we explained this very well, but each of us is going to ask you a question, and then if
Okay.
you so choose, you can fire one back at us. So,
Right.
that Nicole, you are up.
Mm.
Hmm.
What's been the hardest thing that you've had to unlearn?
The hardest thing that I've had to unlearn. That's a great question.
Nicole always comes with these like big meta depth questions. I love it, Nicole.
She's
I
like,
love it.
train A is moving 60 miles an hour. Train B.
I'll tell you this. I don't know if it's the biggest quote thing, one thing. I wish that I had been brought up in an environment that was more questioning of authority, of people in general, of professions, etc. Because I grew up in an environment where you just, which is good, accept things, respect people because they're older or they're in a certain position versus questioning things. And now as I get older, I question everything, right? I question everyone's motives, everyone's intentions, what they're saying. I question everything you hear publicly from either the media or the government or teachers or coaches, or I just question all of it because it doesn't mean you don't agree eventually. But I wish I could unlearn all of that crap that was fed to me at an early age faster, because I'd want to just be more open-minded and make my own decisions on things.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you guys a question. I have a question.
Shoot.
What is the one thing in 2025 you are going to be most courageous about?
Love this question. Billy gets to go first.
Okay. I loved your answer on learning things there, Landon, and questioning things. And so I think I will try to be the most courageous next year about continuing to have those frank conversations with our clients where they're getting in their own way. Because I think that's something that I used to always work on the sort of client side, operator side, like working on a brand. And I think what I needed was for someone to say, hey, you're in your own way. You need to do this other thing. And so now that I'm on the other side of the table, so to speak, being able to look at someone and say, listen, I know you think you know what you're supposed to do here.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the reality is you're holding yourself back because of XYZ, a process, a preconceived notion, what you've done before, whatever it might be. So hopefully I will be most courageous next year and continuing to push for that honest conversation.
Can I speak to that real quickly? So
Please.
you were on the branding side. So I'm this really bothers me with big brands. And I understand they spend they spend millions and millions of dollars, research, goes through legal, et cetera, about how they want to use whatever taglines or how they use things, right? And it drives me crazy because the world that people consume now, they don't want to hear that crap, right? So let me give you an example. So our podcast. So Volkswagen, I've worked with Volkswagen now for 4 or 5 years. They're an amazing partner. Like great people I get to work with. I love working with them. And I will yell it from the rooftops because I really enjoy working with them. Okay. So they're our presenting sponsor. And I've pushed really hard to say, when we open the show and speak about them, yes, we can say, thanks to Volkswagen, our presenting sponsor, who's been part of US soccer for 5 years, and they are driving progress forward and blah, blah. Or I can say, Volkswagen have been incredible partners, and I'm really grateful for everything they've done for soccer. Someone who grew up playing soccer, we need companies like that to invest in our game, and I'm really grateful for that. And my opinion is that latter one would be way more
It would
resonant.
never get approved. It would never get approved.
But it won't. And so we did, my point is we did like a mock where we kind of just did that and sent it to them. And then they came back and sent their,
Right.
because they're
don't say
spending
this.
tons of money and they're like, whatever. And I'm like, but why, guys? Like people actually go, oh, Volkswagen's actually good, versus they'll just tune it out now. Right.
Yes.
So
By the-
I'm glad you said that, but
by the
people
way,
need to hear that.
I just got an email. Both U.S. Soccer and Volkswagen are not approving this podcast, so we're gonna have to edit all of this. All of this is
We're
out.
gonna have to end.
So just cut, just wrap it here. Okay.
All right,
All right.
Nicole, your turn.
Oh, I feel like mine's kind of easy a little bit, or at least for me, because it's really something I'm trying to work on. I would say I have had for a long time a habit of creating expectations for myself
Hmm.
based on what I believe others expect from me, which really is rooted in nothing but a story I make up in my mind, right?
Mhm.
And so really starting to like break free from that a little bit and just show up in the world, in my life, in work, in every situation, as just myself and not the version of myself that I think maybe you want me to be or need me to be. And I think that's probably why I asked you the question about something you have to unlearn, because that for me is something that I've had to unlearn, and it takes time. But I think into this next year, I think that's something that's going to be a really big focus for me. So
That's awesome.
here's to hoping I can do it.
And it's good answer, and really who she is. What a surprise. I mean, the real. I'm up. So I've now met all these amazing leaders, and I'd put you in that category, LD. And I've been talking about for 2 years now, like, oh, do I have the time or the money to bring everyone together? And we have this thing called Courage Week that we have in September, but these guys know, like, I don't know if it's more me justifying in my head or there's really fear. Like, no one, I'm going to throw an event, and no one's going to show up. It's like one of those things. But there's just too many people I've met that need to know each other, and like it's like a potent way to bring a very curated group together for Courage Week, and this has to be the year. And I get to do this weekly dose of courage. Sometimes I talk about stated and created. I think this is part of, you gave me permission to state it and create it, and we're gonna do it. This is the year we're gonna have Courage Week. I don't know if it's gonna be like 25 people, 50 people. I've just met people, and it's almost a perfect way to wrap this. For some reason, the higher up in companies people get, the more filtered people get, right? I think I used to say it's lonely to be the leader. I think it's lonely for almost no matter where you are in your journey, when you're not able to speak unfiltered. So that's what's coming. We're gonna do it together as a team. You're invited, Landon. You have a seat if you'd
I'll
like
be
to join
there.
us. And
We got 4 people showing up, Ryan.
See,
all right,
you
that's
only need
good.
21 left. Dude.
It's a $75,000 ticket. No, I'm kidding.
Now you got 3.
Billy's not coming. Billy, why aren't you coming? In the spirit of courage, I also want to say, thank you for bringing me along the ride for your journey, because it's been an absolute honor to try to help you tell your story. And we've got a big year coming up with World Cup. You've got a story. Now we've got the book, and we've got a documentary in the works to like let the world know about your messy ride, your duct tape world that you survived U.S. soccer and everything else that happened along the way. But it's been a true honor. I think you know this for me to just have a front row seat. Many Zoom calls, people. Why the reason I brought up the hood comment, like Landon's one of Landon's best friends is his hood. Like I know, like when the hood is up, I'm gonna get the real, and we've had some serious conversations over the last year. So thank you for bringing me along for that ride.
Thank you. Thanks for being part of it. It's going to be fun.
I will say at first I was like, oh shit, he's gonna be over too much saturation before the book comes out. He's got the podcast, but I think it's been awesome, and it's cool that you get to kind of get the band back together with Tim and go do
Been
it.
awesome.
Any last thoughts for us before we give you your life back?
Thanks for having me on. That was fun.
Yeah.
Appreciate you,
Super
man.
fun. Thanks for
Landon.
being here.
See you, buddy.
Guys, enjoy your holidays. Thank you.
Same.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Awesome. All right, Billy. Billy, guess what? Pressure is on. The pressure.
That was
is
fun.
on.
It's fun. There's no pressure. There's no pressure. Who I'm going to bring on will crush it. No
It's
doubt.
so hard to, with all these guests, I just want to like keep talking. It's hard to be like, and we're done.
Well, I know.
So good.
Ryan, I
Coupled with
loved your
that,
analogy earlier about like you're having dinner with someone and they can't leave and get the food for the mind. It's true, right? That's what this is. And your courage call on too, on the sense of the need for continuing to build this community. It's even what Layla talked about with that connections, right? I think that's where there's power in helping people feel that encouragement, connect with each other. It's cool when we will be able to pull it off.
yeah, and it's like it's just people you want to hang out with. It's like
Yes.
it's like
Have
it's just
interesting
people,
conversations.
Easy. Yes.
right? And you know, one of my favorite words. I mean, you know, the obvious ones are courage, right? Or like, but like the other C word, it's collisions. It's like, you know, you create an environment, right? Again, I'm back to Godin. Seth Godin said, create the condition. Like, let's create the condition for people that should know each other to collide and let the universe take over from there and see what happens in those conversations. And so that's the thing. And to kind of bring it back to Lila also, when you have the right people or when you find the right person in the sea of, oh my gosh, am I going to find someone here I'm going to connect with? The amount of energy you gain when you're like, yes, like I just want to, let's go talk. Like, tell me how you happened. And then you get past all that and you get to the real fast. It's like, that is by far my favorite.
Yep. It's all about, someone said to me once, it's like, find people who have what you want, and you said at the beginning, and stay close to those people. Right. And like, that's, to me, it's what it's about. It's like, if someone has something that you want, it's like, find out how they got it. Right. And
I will say this, for Landon, for me, it's pretty cool that, because I mean, I was definitely in fanboy camp when, you start this process, right? You can't help it. Like, there's moments in U.S. history, not U.S. soccer history, in U.S. history. Like, I remember I was by myself in a hotel when the Algeria's goal, when he scored against Algeria, like pacing, like I could see myself. That was 2 lives ago, as far as I'm concerned. Right. And now here we are. And it's like, no, he's cool. He's just like, become a friend. And I did hear this, Billy, as you're pulling up your guest. I did hear this the other day that really landed with me. Not landed. I feel like I just did like a Peyton Manning commercial. Peyton Manning. That landed with me. It was someone in the interview space, and he said, treat famous people like your next door neighbor and treat your next door neighbor like famous people. And I was like,
cool.
oh, it's really good. Like, people just treat him normal, right? Or like give him all sorts of love in the world. And Landon, the more you get to know Landon, he's Landon Donovan's very different than Landon. I think that's even part of the themes of the book. Is getting to know who he is.
I'm excited for the book.
What we talked a little bit about with Lila, and that sort of like as you mature and as you get older, right, you become a little more comfortable in who you are, And not everyone is like that who's famous, right? Not everyone like that who's notable. Notable is probably a better way to say it. Just because you have notoriety in some way doesn't mean you're any different. But there are plenty of people that buy into that and act a certain way versus other people, whether they're a senior executive for a company, whether they are a professional, whatever, professional athlete, professional musician. Plenty of them you don't want to spend time with. Plenty of them you do, just like the rest of us, right? And so yeah, there's an element there of, just like you were saying with Courage Week, a desire to just sort of hang out with some people that are wrestling with similar things, trying to be better in certain things and trying to help use their whatever impact they have in a positive way. All right, so my mystery guest that I am bringing on is someone that I have known for, I would say, almost 20 years. We worked together at Johnson & Johnson. She is now still at Johnson & Johnson, now Kenvue. And she and I started and were peers in many ways. And I think what I value the most about her is the fact that she has a tenacity to her and a fire in her that if she wants to accomplish something, she can accomplish amazing things. And she has done that throughout her career. And she has made a lot of interesting choices as she's moved around. She hasn't followed a straight and narrow path, even though she's been at the same organization for 20 years. I think it displays a lot of her courage and her willingness to, quote unquote, bet on herself as she moved up throughout the organization. She is now the head of the U.S. commercial team for Aveeno and body care for Kenvue. So without further ado, is my good friend, Kirsten Hurley.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be
I
with
feel
you
like I need
guys.
to do the Arsenio Hall.
Here
you
we go.
know?
I love it.
Yeah.
By the way, we just lost half our audience who's Googling Arsenio Hall like in real time. Thank you so much for that.
That's a great reference.
Yeah, it was good.
I think it's
All right. Kirsten, Billy's supposed to ask the first question, but I'm jumping in here.
Oh,
Ready?
okay.
Go for it, Ryan.
Great.
We can
How
break for him.
How many times did Billy try to take credit for your work?
Well, if you know anything about Billy, I mean, no, Billy's the ultimate hype man. You know, he's the best.
Oh,
He's always trying to lift everyone around him up, and I'd say the opposite about Billy, you know, like giving you more credit than you feel like you deserve as a way to try to lift others up around him.
Oh, what, Ryan? See, it took it a different way. You thought no,
No, Billy. Yeah, Billy, we were camp counselors. This makes complete sense.
What? I was
Yes,
a camp
Ryan,
counselor.
This is this. Oh, you were
Girl
Excellent.
Scout camp
Volleyball?
counselor.
Oh.
I mean,
yeah, love that.
By the way, the Girl Scouts continue to just like kill the Boy Scouts. Like the Boy
Yeah.
Scouts, what are they doing? Girl
Talk
Scouts,
about better branding. I mean,
Yes.
they've just
and cookies over
Cookies,
popcorn,
all of it.
you know?
not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. Oh, wait, so you were a counselor as well. Does Billy, she doesn't know the story?
She knows that. I think you know that we've met when we were 7 and 8 a long time ago. Ryan and I met a long time ago. She may not know the full story that we worked together at that camp. That Ryan was a much better basketball player than I was. He's a much better soccer player than I was.
No one's better than you at sports, Billy. Come on.
Here we go. Wow.
You fed them all the lies, Billy.
Seriously, the check is in the mail. Just saying. No, so our format, the way we're doing this is we are each asking questions, and so I'll ask the first question, then Ryan and Nicole will ask a question, and then you can ask a question of us. Okay.
Oh, great.
So, and we talked a little bit about this before in your intro. I mentioned it. You're sort of you said stubbornness when we were talking, but you have made some choices in your life, in your career, where you have said, nope, I'm going to go do this, and you knew it. Talk to me a little bit about why you knew you could take some of those risks, where you maybe moved into a role in a different department, where maybe you took more, had more authority or more scope to your work. Where does that belief come from? Where in yourself, and why did you feel comfortable taking some of those bigger shots or bigger risks?
Yeah, I would say I don't think I knew I could do it. I just, like you said, stubbornness. Like when I convinced myself that I'm going to do something. It's like the fear or the uncertainty fades away to a point where, it's not like I know I'm going to be successful, or I know I'm doing the right thing, but it gives me I guess, the courage of your convictions to take on whatever it is you set your mind to. But I really have to have my mind set, because otherwise I will bail faster than faster than someone, someone, obviously not committed to whatever it is they're doing. I really have to have my mind set to it. But I think a big part of it is, it took me a while to have the confidence in myself to know that I had to make decisions, follow a path that was really about what was right for me, and not about what someone thought I should do, or what the company wanted me to do, or what was popular at the time. And I think as I got more experience and aged like a fine wine, you just build up a little bit more of that confidence in yourself to know you're doing the right thing, what's right for you, based on what you believe in or what you think is important. And that's applied in career choices I've made, life choices I've made. And I think when you have that kind of personal compass, you can feel satisfied no matter the outcome or the path you take.
Yeah. I'm going to follow up before I pass it on to my partners. You have seen a lot of change at J&J. There are very few people that sort of stay at the same place for as long as you have.
Yeah.
And continue to sort of challenge yourself a little bit. But what do you see as the biggest challenges that are happening right now at Kenvue, with all the changes from spinning off of Johnson & Johnson, of a changing marketplace, all that kind of stuff? Like, as you look into 2025, what are some of those things that you say, okay, we really need to continue to be stubborn and push ourselves so that we can, handle all these changes?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity that I think is what's exciting to many of us at Kenvue, including myself, is the opportunity to realize our potential as a standalone company. I don't know how much background you want me to give on kind of the status of Kenvue, but the opportunity to spin off of a bigger parent company like Johnson & Johnson and forge your own way, but you're still a legacy company, a huge player in your categories. We have top brands in the categories that we compete in, and the opportunity to realize the potential of, the growth, the ability to serve the consumer in a different way. I think that's the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity. And I think on a personal level, what I try to challenge myself with and my team, especially as someone that's been at the same organization for my whole career, we're not going to get a different, better outcome by doing things the way we've always done. And while I'm aware of that, I'm also aware that I'm a product of my environment. And so it's this constant challenge of how do I myself, how do I help inspire my team and my colleagues to do things in a different way, approach things in a different way, be inspired by things outside of our four walls, so that we can try to approach things differently and get that different outcome. Because that's what I think we all want. We want to be achievers. We want to succeed. We want to compete and win. But just recognizing that, you want to have that challenger mindset, but being a product of your environment in a big CPG company, how do you bring that challenger mindset to everything you do?
Working on a brand that's 50, 60, whatever years old, right? That is a marketplace that consumers have seen and sort of know the story. How do you continue to push that? That's very cool.
Exactly.
All right, Ryan.
Kirsten, I guess I'm up. Look, the universe is a funny thing. This is my fake question before my real question.
Mm-hmm.
I was just on a plane back from a client. I sat next to a guy named Eric. This is also a tough name. Eric Rivadeneira.
Rivadeneira. Yes.
Okay. So you know him? This is why I knew the universe would do this. So we had an awesome conversation. I kid you not. And by the way, it was late. It was like a 8 p.m. flight, and I had to go catch a flight. So he let me get off to catch my.
So you bonded on the plane, and then you said, "See you later." Ran off.
I was like, peace. And how I found out, he was looking at he's probably going to hate this part. I was, all right, I'll blame myself. I was looking over his phone and saw Kenvue, stock price or something like that. I was like, oh, are you at Kenvue? I jumped right in. And, but he was awesome. He allowed me to stay in his space for a minute. So my fake question, it's not even now, it's to a comment. Send our best from the Courageous team to him, because he really was cool. and he let me get off the plane. So I barely seconds, or I would have missed my flight to New York. So that's one huge shout out to Eric. Thanks.
I'll
I'm
send
sure
Riv
he
your
never.
best.
Yeah, Riv. Okay,
Riv.
much easier to say Riv than
Riv.
Riv. Yeah,
There you go.
Riv. All right,
Riv.
my real question. My real question is, you made a comment about like you need to know when you know you're all in and it's time to go, right? But like, our experience with courage is you kind of net like if you kind of wait to know, if you're kind of waiting to know,
Mhm.
you're probably going to get passed from somebody. Like the way we describe courage, this is a little soapboxy, so forgive me, but like our whole thing is knowledge plus faith
Right.
plus action equals courage, right? And as much as Billy wishes that we always had 100% of the knowledge, since he runs the knowledge team, realistically, we're doing the best we can with what we have, and we know speed still matters. So, like,
Mhm.
where is it for you? Like, how much do you need to really know before you're like, okay, I have enough, I feel it, it's go time?
It's a scale, I guess. And I think, the times I've been the most uncomfortable are probably the times I didn't have you know, enough of one of at least the three elements that you talk about, right? Whether it was the faith in myself or the knowledge of a category or a business or a consumer. Um, I think, the times where I feel like I didn't, it's less about perfection, I guess. The things I've really made my mind up about, I don't know that I had perfect information, but I had kind of my conviction of what I thought made sense or what I thought was right for me. And um, you know, that's what kind of kept me pushing through not having perfect information, because you're right, it can never be perfect. And if you're waiting for everything to align, it's too late by the time that happens. So um, the times I've been most uncomfortable, I would say I didn't have what I thought was enough of kind of one of those three elements you talked about. And I had to figure out how to push through that and find the enough of the faith or of the knowledge. And sometimes that takes a little bit of time. But I was listening to one of your guests that you had on recently. You talked about, action was kind of the antidote to this like self-doubt. Not exactly what she said, but something along those lines. And I found that to be so true in my career, where you got to just find something that you feel confident in. You can work an angle that is kind of in your wheelhouse, or something that you do know or you do have faith in, and that helps to start the machine moving a little bit and gives you a little bit of play, so that it gives you a little bit of that momentum, the kind of maybe the courage to lean into the places you don't know, because you get the inertia. Is that the right word? You get the momentum going. Like you're not, standing still anymore, kind of in this fear, uncertainty.
This is not my question, but I have a follow-up really quick. Which one of the three levers do you find hardest, or where you feel like you don't have enough? Like you kind of said, like, sometimes I find I don't have enough in one of the areas. Is there one of the three that you particularly find the most challenging in having, quote, enough?
Definitely knowledge. I think that the faith's a little bit of heart, right? And the action, I think, is it's easy, quote unquote, to take action. But I think, for me especially, there's so much you don't know, and I think it's really easy to, especially as a type A in business, you want to kind of get all the information and get all the facts and feel like you have enough to whatever your level of dangerous is on a topic. And I think for me, my bar is maybe higher than it needs to be sometimes on the knowledge part. I find it easier on the action and the faith part, like the kind of the heart and the action. But knowledge definitely, I think, is the barrier for me sometimes.
That's why you and Billy are close, right? He's the knowledge
Oh.
guy, but
Oh.
Billy's been
I-
dropping
She knows I
knowledge
don't
on
have
me since
perfect
day
knowledge.
one.
I do want to say before we pass the question over, like, I think it says a lot about you that action's easy, because action is not easy for a lot of people. I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense. It makes sense that you're where you are. And I also want to kind of just frame this in the minds of the audience. Um, our team, Billy comes from your world too, and we've done some work
Right.
with some J&J brands. So I've been at that, I'll say it. It can get that bureaucratic table of 18
Mm-hmm.
people in a meeting. Like, there's a lot of people in here. I don't know anyone's name. What company who's that? They're a partner too. What do they do? So when you're in that room, and you don't have perfect knowledge, do you still find the courage to be like, hey, I know this might not be perfect and it's messy, but here's what I think and here's why? Are you going for it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's my job, right? Like, and I part of my job is, making sure I'm surrounded by a team and cross-functional partners that are really smart and really good at what they do and creating an environment where they can tell me what they really think. So I don't have to become the expert in anything, but I can rely on the headlines I get from the really smart people around me, and I can go in with conviction to that group and say, and no, I probably know more about whatever I'm going to say than they do, and I'm there for a reason. So I have a point of view. I'm going to represent my smart team's point of view and put a recommendation forward, ask the hard question. Yeah, I
I
think
do
that's my
think
job.
I do think you have to take some credit, flowers, whatever, for the fact that it's that stubborn component. There is something about you and the way you think and inspire others and go get it, right? Like you just do it. So you have in a good way, a bias for action, not reckless, not just because I feel like I have to do it, but in working with you and having seen you work, you almost have it creeps you out to be still, to like be passive and not do anything. Like the answer, like obviously not doing something is an action too. You hate that. You're
I do.
always like, I want to go forward. And I think that is, you have to give yourself credit in an organization that is as large as it is, as matrixed as it is, to continue to be able to do that proves something about you and is why you're awesome, why you rule.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Thanks. It's fun. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. But I think it's interesting that, going back to my earlier comment, the environment and what's valued in the company has changed a lot over the time that I've been there. And what's interesting is, you have to have a self-awareness about how you play, to the leaders around you and organizationally. So, you can't be tone deaf, but it's really interesting. I was just reflecting on how much I've seen the organization change, and I think I've changed a little bit too, but probably more leaning into that bias for action, for kind of having a point of view, stirring the pot to a degree, right? Like saying the hard thing, being direct. And that wasn't always a value. And I think it's getting valued more now. But the thing that I remind myself is, even if I'm in a place where, my natural inclination is more valued, that doesn't make me better than I was before. And it also doesn't make me worse when that becomes less valued, right? Like you just have to kind of stay true to who you are. And that's the thing I've learned and gotten more comfortable with over time, is to, lean into being comfortable with the good, the bad, and the ugly that comes with kind of who you are, and try to maximize the good and minimize the bad and the ugly. And, again, just because you're in style today doesn't make you any better than you were 5 minutes ago when you weren't in style,
Your
Beautiful.
worth isn't determined by what other people value in the organization, right?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Determined by other things, which is cool.
Right.
All right, I'm bringing us home.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
Do it.
so since this is the end of the year episode, I feel like I asked our earlier guest, what is one thing you wish you did less of this past year? So I am going to ask you, what is one thing that you wish you would have done more of in this past year?
Oh, in any special context, like work, life, doesn't matter.
Any context you want.
More
I wish I did
podcasts,
more
maybe?
Or eat more ice cream. Like,
Probably eat less ice cream, to be honest with you.
Oh no, nothing.
What did I wish I did more of? I wish that I think that I didn't take as much time for myself as I probably should have. And what I mean by that is, you have to take care of yourself first before you can be the best version of yourself, whether it's to your family, your kids, your colleagues, whoever you show up for in your life. And for a number of reasons, I think I prioritize all those things, but maybe sometimes at the sake of myself. And I probably, feel like I did myself a disservice in that way, but could have also been better for everyone in my life if I had taken a little bit more time for myself. So I think we're always seeking to find that balance, right? It's not really a balance. That's a bad way to put it. But I think something I want to try to be more conscious of is like, how do I pay into my own bank a little bit so that I can be there for everyone else even better?
Told you, eat more ice cream. I said it. More ice. That's the answer.
It's the solution
the
to all the
answer.
ills,
No,
right?
I love that because I think there is an element of understanding that that's not a selfish choice. I think we tend to put ourselves in a place when we do that, we're being selfish. And the way you said it was perfect. Is the reality is that helps you be better when you show up for them for real and be present with them for real versus than them being, like you said, coworkers, partner, family, friends, whatever, right? If you're not there because you've lost energy or because you're feeling like you have drained everything from yourself, then it's kind of pointless.
Right.
Plus you're a mirror, right? So like if you're doing it, it gives those who work for you permission to go do it too, right? It's like, yeah, no, like I kind of don't want to see
Yeah.
you until I know you're good. Like you're good, right? Your energy's good. No,
Yes.
please go take some PTO and come back when you're ready. You know,
Yep.
so
Yep.
good on you. All right, I believe,
For sure.
right? Kirsten gets to ask us a question.
I get the last question. Okay. What's one thing going on in the world or culture, whatever realm you decide, that you think is going to have the biggest impact on 2025?
Ooh.
Big one. This is a
You
big
want me to
one.
go first? Let me go
Yeah.
first.
Go knowledge.
We talked a little bit about this with our last two guests, but I'm going to say I think the biggest thing that could be an impact is the fact that we're still lonely. That, right? Like there is a sense of lack of connection. And we talked about with our different guests this idea of being a connector, connecting the dots, connecting with each other, building community, all those things. I think of all of the challenges, whether it's geopolitical war stuff, whether it's the politics in the US, whether it's just sort of devices and phones getting us distracted from what really is going on. All of those are leading to people really at the heart. That's what we want, is to be able to connect with others or have someone connect with us. And so I think whether it's from a business, whether it's from a leadership side, whether it's from a personal side, to me, I think that could be part of the antidote for all that other stuff.
Love that. It's powerful.
Billy stole my answer.
You want me to go
That's why
second?
you jump in, go first.
Yeah, I mean, it was my first gut response was like, community. And I
Yeah.
think and this has come up in our other conversations today with our other guests too, in bits and pieces, but it's like, I think bringing it back down to like what it matters and controlling your controllables. There's a lot of things going on that in reality are a lot outside of a lot of people's control, outside of at least my control, I can say. And so it's like, getting back to just like what matters and the people in your life and the impact that you can have on other people. And, one of my favorite lines is from a commencement speech that Jim Carrey gave years ago. And he said, the impact you have on other people is the most valuable currency you have. And so 100%. It's just about like, how can I make an impact today on the people that I touch, from a day-to-day basis. So I think that's my answer.
Love it.
Can you say the question again? I want to make sure I got it right before Faith jumps in here.
What's one thing that's going on in the world, in any context you pick, culture or society, politics, that you think is going to have the biggest impact on 2025?
Yeah. Okay. Got it. So this is what I was worried about, because the answer is all of the above. It's all of it. But I think the remedy, the medicine or the vitamin, depending on how you look at it, right? But is more interesting to me. So for example, I think we're all feeling overwhelmed. I think we all have, and it's funny, I'm going almost the opposite of where both of you went. Not surprising, we disagree. No. I actually agree with you, but I think
different angles,
in
though.
some ways, yeah. And Kirsten, like I'm actually kind of going you have to take care of yourself first. So, I think this broadcast world that we live in, I think we're moving to narrowcast. I think the response is we're going to go narrowcast, and I think we're going to move into even the more of the golden age of niche. And I think people are going to control what they can control and start feeding their souls with stuff they genuinely care about, start working the algorithms on what they genuinely care about, and stop, excuse my French, giving a shit about all the other stuff that bothers you or worries you or causes anxiety or makes you feel that you're on the outside. So I think we're going to move into like people are going to narrowcast even more in some ways. I think we're going to stop shouting at each other or over each other because we're just going to
I hope
focus on
so.
what do I need right now? What do I need right now? And I think it's going to start with making sure your own soul and brain are filled with the things that you need, so you're ready for the reality of a world that feels overwhelming for people.
I also like this thought of like, instead of it being for, hey, I'm going to put something out there for the masses, I'm putting this something out for the people that I care about, right? For the people that I care about what their opinions are. I heard someone say that once where, you get fired up because someone says something on social media about you. Well, would you ask them their advice? Would you ask them about life? No. Well, then why do you care what they say about it versus everyone on this call? I care what you think about me. And so I would want to narrowcast to you all about things that are going on. So that way I can get feedback on that versus other people that I have no opinion on,
Yeah.
You wouldn't ask beer cooler John 173 what he thinks about your children? I'm confused. No?
Doesn't make any
You've
sense.
been following me on Twitter. Thanks, Ryan.
It's weird. You have his handle memorized, Ryan. So
Yeah,
strange.
Hey, Mitch, cut this part out of the show. There's just this last little part. Everything else is great.
Oh, I feel like that
Wow.
could open up a whole new conversation, but this was great. I loved being with you guys.
Well,
Yes.
we want to thank you for not doing this while driving. Thank you for pulling off to the side of the road for the conversation. You're always welcome
course.
on the pod.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us today.
What
It
a
was
treat.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank
Enjoy
you. So
the
nice
end
to
of the
meet you.
year. You too, Nicole. Happy
Good
holidays.
job, Billy. Bravo, Billy. Good guess. Well
Three for
done.
three. 3 for 3. Let's go. Let's go. All right.
Bye.
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 Bye. What a perfect way to like. By the way, congratulations. We've officially, I think we blew it out of the water. This is the longest episode of the Courageous podcast ever. And I wouldn't want it any other way than breaking records with the two of you.
I mean, you could slice it up. It could be a 3-parter. You could do a 3-parter. Pretty awesome.
No, I think let's let people, enjoy it, or they can zip through it and find parts they like, or if they've listened all the way through and you've gotten this far, then, look, if you've gotten this far, honestly, I thank you. Thanks for sticking around. Hopefully there was something in here. I can't imagine there's not something in here because you go through the guests. You got Lila, and it's the power of mentorship and like the connection, and you can feel it, Nicole, with you, but it's like so needed. It's like good for your soul. It's not just like it was never about the work. It was like, it was on the way to the work. It was doing it with other people, and you could feel that. And then Landon, to me, well, first of all, you had two goats on the call. You got Nicole Miller, the goat, right?
I can't believe you just put me in the same category as him. So thank you for that. I'll take it.
Yeah. And really, I think, we could, not surprising. Yes, soccer might be the draw, but the need for more unfiltered conversations, the need for more real. And Landon is, in fact, if you're trying to bullshit Landon, that's when you're gone. And I'm sure many people feel that way. And he's just so real. And I'm like, it's very cool to see him now throwing himself into his podcast.
Even the way he described why he thinks his podcast had the success it did as quickly is because of that. It's because of his unfilteredness but not just to be unfiltered, but with a purpose and with knowledge, so it's cool.
And then Kirsten, I thought, brought us home. One, we've been in those rooms. We know how hard it is to be brave in those settings. And I'm sure, if Kirsten's listening back to this, she's like, no. I'm like, well, that's because you're courageous. Like, that's because you figured out a way to, one of my new favorite lines to always say is like, it's like you care and you don't care at the same time. Like, you deeply care about the right things, and you don't care that, you don't have to be tone deaf about the things that, like, if it's the right thing to do, you have to have the courage to keep pushing forward. And I just loved, again, obviously we don't know who was bringing on what, but we covered mentorship and soul. We covered realness and, Landon's a known name. And then you've got like, what's it like in the boardroom. And so
he's a force. He's a force of nature, right? Like, it is. It's obvious that you feel like, okay, let's go do it. Like, we can go do it. That's what I love about her, and the energy she puts out is it's not a passiveness. It's let's go get it.
hey, what a great way to talk about 2025, guys. Like, let's go get it. Maybe let's take a little break. Let's take, I'm getting out of here. I'm going home and seeing Mama Berman and Papa Berman. I'm sure Billy, I'll see you live as well.
Oh, I'm
But
jealous.
we'll make sure we'll FaceTime you or something.
Okay, all right, deal.
All right, this show is brought to you by
Volkswagen.
Volkswagen and US Soccer and FaceTime and Wavelength and Zoom and, and J&J and Kellanova.
Yeah. Next year we'll get the sponsors.
Yeah.
2025.
Next year we'll get the sponsors. Thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great rest of your week. Happy New Year. And
Happy New Year.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.